a Banksy Bean. Say hi, Bean. She's so offended I pet her right now. I know, I'm so sorry to disturb you. Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today we are going to be doing something just a little bit different. Recently, the lovely Autumn over at Nose in a Book had commented on one of my videos, and she had expressed some interest in seeing how I annotate books. I've only just started doing that fairly recently. It's been basically since this past summer. I have no idea what I'm doing. I know there's like the proper way to do this, but this was not really something that I can ever remember us really covering in college. I mean, we had our we're supposed to be taking notes and stuff like that, but in our textbooks back then, a lot of my books that are from school back then have little notes in them. Most of the time it's just my snarky commentary on whatever was going on with the characters, which was probably not really helpful to me, I don't think, when it came time to writing essays or anything. But annotating books now that it's not school related is entirely different. But you know, it gave me an idea that, hey, that's not a bad idea for a video to kind of just talk about annotating when you're someone who has only just started doing it, and yeah, I just am making shit up as I go along. There's a couple of different ways I annotate, depending on what the books are for, and I will show you examples. Okay, so this angle probably looks really weird. If the sound gets weird at all at any point, it's because I have had to sit down further. So my voice might end up being odd. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So, for annotating, like I said, I have only recently started doing this during this past summer. It started out basically as just a way for me to take notes for my work in progress. I am currently working on a novel set in the past in Vermont, so I have been doing some research for that, and that's why I started annotating, was so that I could read and glean information and take notes on various things that I think that I should remember, has information that I can use, and it's also a way for me to take notes of any ideas I might get while I'm reading. So for example, we can look at The Poisoner's Handbook. This is a book that I really loved reading last year, but it was firstly for research, and also I heard about it on a podcast and I was like, I need to read that. So for this, I have things noted. I started taking notes on here, and then I realized that that's just going to frustrate me. So I instead started taking notes in here. This is my research notebook for this work in progress. I'm really glad I finally have a purpose for this, because this I got back in college for another project and then never used it. So to start off with, we have my notes. So you can see we have red for murder info, white for historical relevance and context, green Vermont setting, blue methodology for forensics, yellow character facts or ideas, violet things to research further, and pink things to slip into the story somewhere. So basically I would go down the page and I would write my notes based on what they correspond to, and I use the corresponding tabs in here basically because this was just easier for me to do this. I started out kind of underlining different things And yeah, like I said, writing notes here about like, ooh, this is about an arsenic test, or this is, you know, something that I could potentially use in the story and that kind of thing. And then that eventually just became me noting with the specific tabs things that I wanted. For example, this blue tab. This is for talking about a test to, a way to test for CO, so carbon monoxide, and it basically describes that. And I marked it with the blue tab because that's forensic methodology, and it's something that I'll have to reference back to later when I need to. Or purple is something to research further, so a lot of these are like cases that I'm interested in, or that might be something that I could like pull stuff from. So that's how I did that. And like I said, I've just notated stuff in here. So that's worked the same for this book, for the other couple of books that I've been through for this, and that's how I'll continue doing research in here. The things that I use, so I have this handy dandy thing back here. I use these tabs. The pack came with like 3 different types of tabs, basically, of varying colors. And then I just have random gel pens and other, like, these color pens that I bought to correspond to these varying things, so I can better take notes that way in here. I also just recently bought some more tabs because I'm starting to run out. And I've seen other people do annotations recently using also like highlighters and stuff like that, which I dumbly didn't think of before, even though I know that's like something that people do. And I did utilize highlighters occasionally when I was in school. So I don't currently have any, or I didn't have any for this previously, so I just bought some highlighters for myself. And yeah, I bought some more tabs. Like I said, I'm waiting for the extra tabs to come in. They're a little bit different. I think they correspond a little bit better with like the highlighters that I just got. But yeah, so that's how I'm like doing things for like my work in progress. And then what I just started doing for like shits and giggles was I decided to annotate The Shining by Stephen King, which is one of my favorite books, and I loved annotating it so much. And that, yeah, this is handled a little bit differently. So basically, how I annotated this is a little bit differently. I marked it in here, so I would remember. As you can see, purple is literary references. This should be pink. But, that's the marker that I had at the time. So it's signs of love. Dark blue is favorite lines. Light blue is colloquialisms or childhood things, because that's often a trait of Stephen King's work, is he uses local colloquialisms, or he uses lines or phrases from songs, or different things that children would say, or like stuff that calls back to the person's childhood when they're like dealing with things, or like that kind of stuff. So that's all of that. Green is the setting as a character, because the Overlook Hotel is very much a character in this story. Yellow, or gold, is foreshadowing and connections with stuff later on in the book, or even, you know, with some of his other books, if there's any connections. Black is movie things, so things that are scenes are important in the Stanley Kubrick film. Red is the creepy and evil, violent and spooky. There's a lot of red tabs. And then orange is character traits, so things about the specific characters. So I basically started out with marking this literary reference because this is a quote from The Mask of the Red Death, which is a Edgar Allan Poe story. So yeah, so that was my first little mark, and then I got into the book itself. Now, for doing my favorite book, I decided to do it a little bit differently. I'm not having any notes in a notebook like I did with my work in progress, because this is not for research, this is just for my own pleasure. So I made notes and different things within the book where the tabs are. So like this, the first line, Jack Torrance thought, officious little prick. This is our first look at Jack and how he deals with people. Then we get into some more details that are like here, for example. Jack's just like, no hard feelings. There were hard feelings, all kinds of them, so I noted his incapability to let things go and makes more trouble for himself. Later, Jack is full of a lot of hard feelings. So that's just, like I said, it's just foreshadowing, because this is his inability to let stuff go is going to cause problems later. So basically what I did in here is just, yeah, I underlined lines I really liked. I notated various things in the book, like this part. This is literary references, this is talking about playwrights. There's a lot of information I actually looked up, and it was good because I understood things a little bit more. For example, King mentions E.L. Doctorow's Welcome to Hard Times, and I didn't know what that was, and the reference just went over my head, but because I started annotating it, I ended up taking the time to look it up. It is a story of a man with a found family of boy and woman who rebuild after a massacre, which is an interesting connection. So yeah, so that's basically what I did through here. Just with each thing that I noted, like as a place, setting as a place, basically little details that are animalistic or really creepy about the overlook, and just all these various things. You can see the red tabs get more and more as we go along as things. So yeah, that's basically how I annotated this, and I enjoyed annotating this so much. It's one of my favorite books, and I really got a lot more out of it. I have decided that I'm going to annotate some of my other like all-time favorite books, because that was like a great experience. So I have a couple that I like to annotate next. So the first of these is Northern Borders by Howard Frank Mosher. So I started rereading this fall and didn't get very far into it, but I want to really try to continue my reading in it, but this time annotate it. So with this, I will probably annotate it similarly to how I annotated this, picking tabs for different things, like for example, character traits, connections to the rest of Mosher's books, because he bases them all kind of in like the fictional Kingdom County up in. I'll probably have like a tab for connections with his other books and families involved in this, like in all of his novels. I'll have like favorite lines, different historical things and stuff like that, and maybe I'll also have connections to other books about rural Vermont at the time that I've read, and I can have like a tab about that and about sweet moments and stuff like that. So it will be like similar to how I annotate this, is how I'm going to annotate this one, with just slight changes. There's not really anything super violent or creepy in here, so I don't really need that particular tab, so I'll use it for something else. Tab color. Whereas when I annotate the Westing game, for example, which is a childhood favorite of mine, I am going to take a different approach. I'll still probably have like favorite lines tab and stuff like that notated in here, but I think how I'm going to do this a little bit differently is I'm going to pick, or try to pick, tab colors per characters, or if not per characters, like per specific, like, this is about people that break up into teams to solve a mystery and try to win a bunch of money. So my plan is to maybe pick a tab color to use per team or per like very important characters, and then there'll be that tab with like important things connecting back to stuff later that then foreshadows part of the ending and whatnot. I don't know. That's my thought process for how to annotate this mystery novel. And when I get around to annotating another one of my favorite mystery novels, then I'll have that kind of in my head of, oh, tabs per character to notate important scenes with them that are going to matter later and that kind of jazz. But that's, yeah, that's basically how I think that will go with these. It's been pretty interesting annotating stuff. This is, like I said, something new to me. But yeah. So I guess we can end this out maybe with just, I'll input like a clip or something like that of whenever I start annotating one of these, and then you can kind of see how that's going. Yeah. That I said I'd mark out the end of the video by showing you a clip of me annotating, and I realized that's a really weird outro because I don't normally do that. I usually at least say something, so I figured I'd add it in now with me saying something. A little bit of time has gone by since I initially filmed the first pieces, so I have been annotating the book. I went with slightly different things than I had originally. Example, I went with purple for things that are, to my mind, uniquely Vermont things or characteristics. Light green is connections to Mosher's other works that take place up in, so I've said fictional Kingdom County before. There is the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, but there's not any place technically called Kingdom County, but oftentimes people refer to it as the Kingdom, especially if you're from the Northeast Kingdom itself. So that's that. But anyway, he had just made up Kingdom County to be a particular like area up there in the Northeast Kingdom, and he wrote, like, I think basically all of his books there, or at least most of them. So the light green would be connections to any of his other works. Blue is favorite lines. Gold I actually decided to use for his Graham's character and like details having to do with her, things that are uniquely her, and also like her and Tut's relationship. And then red is for Graham's character, same thing, like his quirky things, what makes him up as a person, and also him and Tut's relationship. And then I've just added another tab. I've added white, but I will be writing it in black, any of the notes, and that is for the Great Feud, which is basically little bits showing the feud between Gramp and Graham, basically throughout their well, basically they've been feuding since their whole marriage, but throughout Tut's time of growing up with them. So that's basically how that shook out. But anyway, I thought I'd update you on that bit, and then also just finish this out and say, yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you annotate, hey, let me know down below. I'm just making this shit up as I go along, and it's definitely been an interesting experience. It's definitely been helping me with my research, but it's just been enjoyable for like my favorite reads too. Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for always watching, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.